Welcome to our deep dive into the world of Tencent.
Tencent, yeah.
We're going to be using Ouya Win 1998-2016 as our guide,
Go.
which chronicles Tencent's rise
Right.
from a small startup to a tech giant.
It's an amazing story, I think.
It is.
A lot of people in the West are familiar with Tencent, but they don't really know the full story.
Right.
And this book really digs deep into it.
Yeah, I'm eager to kind of uncover some of the secrets behind their success.
Well, one thing that I found really interesting about the book is that it goes beyond just sort of a basic timeline.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really delves into Ma Huateng's
Okay.
leadership philosophy, which the book calls the 7 tenets.
The 7 tenets.
And these principles really seem to guide their decisions every step of the way.
Okay, so let's start with those 7 tenets then.
Sure.
What are they, and how did they shape Tencent's early days?
Well, the first tenet is being product-driven. And, it's clear from the book that Ma Huateng was passionate about building great products from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Even before Tencent, he was already, developing software and experimenting with new technologies.
I'm curious to learn more about his background.
Yeah.
What was Ma Huateng like before Tencent?
The book paints a picture of a young, ambitious programmer with a love for astronomy.
Oh, wow.
It mentions his fascination with the vastness of the universe
Interesting.
and how that sense of scale sort of influenced his thinking.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's interesting to consider how that might have shaped his vision for Tencent.
That's a perspective I hadn't considered before.
Yeah.
It seems like his entrepreneurial spirit was evident early on, too.
Absolutely.
Right.
The book details some of his early ventures, like developing stock market software
Okay.
and even working on building pagers.
Wow.
He was always on the lookout for new opportunities,
Yeah.
particularly in emerging technologies.
So he was already comfortable taking risks and diving into the unknown even before the internet boom.
Exactly. And that willingness to experiment would serve him well as he navigated the unpredictable world of the internet.
Now, the book also mentions a chance encounter that played a significant role in Tencent's story.
Yeah.
Tell me about Ma Huateng meeting his future wife.
This is where the book reveals the human side of Tencent's origins.
Uh-huh.
While working at a paging company, Ma Huateng met Zhang Zijing.
Okay.
Their connection, according to the book, was instant.
Wow.
It's a reminder that even in the world of tech, personal relationships can have a profound impact.
Absolutely. So in 1998, armed with this entrepreneurial drive,
Yes,
Ma Huateng, along with 4 of his friends, founded Tencent.
that's right.
What was the tech landscape like in China at that time?
The internet was still in its infancy in China,
Okay.
but it was growing rapidly.
Okay.
Dial-up connections were the norm, and people were just starting to discover the possibilities of online communication.
And that's where their first product, OICQ, comes into play.
Right.
It was inspired by ICQ,
Yes.
an Israeli instant messaging service, right?
Yes. Ma Huateng and his team saw the potential of instant messaging,
Uh-huh.
but realized that ICQ wasn't tailored for the Chinese market.
Makes sense.
So they set out to create a localized version that was more user-friendly.
One of the 7 tenets is being user-focused.
Right.
How did that play out in the development of OICQ?
They made some strategic design choices that proved to be crucial.
Like what?
Well, for instance, they incorporated Chinese characters
Okay.
and simplified the user interface, making it much more accessible to Chinese users.
Oh, okay.
They focused on speed and reliability, ensuring a smooth user experience, even with slow dial-up connections.
So it sounds like they were laser-focused on making OICQ as easy and enjoyable to use as possible.
Absolutely.
Did that contribute to its early success?
It absolutely did. The book recounts how OICQ quickly gained popularity,
Uh-huh.
particularly among young people. It became a social phenomenon, connecting people in a way that had never been possible before.
But their early success wasn't without its challenges, right?
Right.
They ran into a major legal hurdle with AOL,
Yeah,
the parent company of ICQ.
that's right. AOL sued Tencent for trademark infringement,
Oh, wow.
forcing them to rebrand OICQ to QQ.
QQ.
This was a pivotal moment for the company.
It must have been a stressful time.
I'm sure it was.
How did they navigate that challenge?
The book highlights their resilience and adaptability.
Yeah.
Instead of letting the lawsuit derail them,
Yeah.
they quickly pivoted and focused on building the QQ brand.
Okay.
They doubled down on their commitment to user experience, constantly improving the platform and adding new features.
It seems like this experience reinforced the importance of being agile and responsive.
Yeah,
Another one of the 7 tenets, wouldn't you say?
absolutely. This legal battle forced them to be resourceful and innovative, traits that would define their approach moving forward. And it's worth noting that even though they had to rebrand, They managed to retain most of their user base.
That's impressive. So QQ is growing rapidly,
Hmm.
becoming deeply ingrained in Chinese youth culture.
Right.
But at this point, they were still figuring out how to turn that popularity into a profitable business.
Exactly. User growth doesn't necessarily translate to revenue.
Right.
They needed to find sustainable ways to monetize their platform.
And that's where the QQ show comes in.
Yes.
It was a virtual avatar platform where users could customize their online personas.
This seems like a brilliant move in hindsight.
It does.
But was it a gamble at the time?
It was a calculated risk,
Okay.
but one that paid off tremendously. The book reveals that Ma Huateng was initially hesitant about the idea.
He was.
He was concerned it might alienate users who were accustomed to the simplicity of QQ.
That makes sense.
But his team convinced him to try it, arguing that it aligned perfectly with the user-focused tenet by providing a fun and engaging way for users to express themselves. So they went ahead with it, and it turned out to be a massive hit.
It did.
What was it about QQ Show that resonated so strongly with users?
It tapped into the desire for personalization and social connection.
Yep.
Users could customize their avatars with clothing accessories and even virtual pets.
Wow.
It turned QQ into more than just a communication tool.
Yeah.
It became a platform for self-expression and social interaction.
And this was a key turning point for their monetization strategy, wasn't it?
It was QQ Show demonstrated that users were willing to spend money on virtual goods and services that enhanced their online experience. It paved the way for the many ways Tencent would monetize its platforms in the years to come.
Okay, so we've seen how Tencent navigated their early years.
Right.
Guided by Ma Huateng's 7 tenets. They faced legal challenges,
Yep.
experimented with different business models,
Yeah.
and ultimately found success by focusing on user experience and innovation.
It's a remarkable story.
It is, but this is just the beginning of their story. We're about to enter the era of the mobile internet,
Oh, yeah.
which would transform Tencent in ways no one could have predicted, but we'll have to save that for part 2 of our deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
I am too. We're back, ready to continue our exploration of Tencent's journey.
Yeah.
We left off with them finding success with QQ Show and laying the groundwork for their monetization strategy.
Right.
But as we move into the mid-2000s, the internet itself was undergoing a massive shift, the rise of the mobile web.
The mobile revolution.
How did Tencent respond to this seismic shift in technology?
Well, this is where Tencent's commitment to speed of execution,
Okay.
one of the 7 tenets, really shines through.
Okay.
They didn't just react to the mobile trend, they were ahead of the curve.
Really? What specifically did they do that set them apart from other companies?
Well, the book highlights how Ma Huateng
Okay.
recognized the potential of mobile early on.
Okay.
It wasn't just about making their existing products mobile-friendly.
Right. It was about anticipating how mobile would fundamentally change user behavior and the entire digital landscape.
So they weren't just trying to port KQ over to phones.
No.
They were thinking bigger.
Exactly. They invested heavily in developing new mobile-first products and services.
Like what?
Well, they created mobile games
Okay.
that were specifically designed for touchscreens and on-the-go gameplay.
Interesting.
They understood that mobile was more than just a smaller screen. It was
Right.
a whole new way of interacting with the world.
And this is where we see the emergence of some of the products that would define Tencent's future, like mobile games, QQ Tang, and Happy Farm.
Right. These games were incredibly popular, particularly Happy Farm, which became a social phenomenon in China.
I remember that.
Yeah, it really showcased the power of mobile gaming to connect people and create a sense of community.
It's interesting to see how Tencent, even as they were growing rapidly, never strayed too far from their user-focused approach.
Right. They always seem to be thinking about how to make their products fun and engaging for their users.
Yeah, they were also quick to adapt to changing user preferences. When social networking started to gain traction,
Okay.
they were right.
Because QQ, while incredibly popular,
Yeah,
was primarily a desktop-based platform.
it was.
They needed something that would work seamlessly on mobile.
Right.
And that's where WeChat comes in.
Exactly. The launch of WeChat in 2011 was a pivotal moment,
Yeah.
not just for Tencent, but for the entire Chinese internet.
I'm always fascinated by the story of WeChat. It's much more than just a messaging app.
It is.
It's become this all-encompassing platform for communication payments, social media, and even government services.
It's become an integral part of life in China.
How did they manage to create something so impactful?
Well, it wasn't an overnight success.
Okay.
The book details how WeChat faced stiff competition from other messaging apps in its early days.
So how did they manage to overcome those challenges and become the dominant platform?
It was a combination of factors, I think.
Like what?
Well, first, they leveraged their existing user base.
Okay.
They made it easy for QQ users to connect with their friends on WeChat.
So they didn't abandon their existing users, they brought them along on this journey.
Exactly. And they also focused on innovation,
Okay.
constantly adding new features and improving the user experience.
Huh.
And they were very strategic about integrating WeChat into other aspects of people's lives.
The open platform strategy we talked about earlier played a key role here, didn't it?
Absolutely.
By allowing third-party developers to build apps and services within WeChat, they turned it into this incredibly versatile platform.
They created a whole ecosystem within WeChat.
Right.
They understood that they couldn't do everything themselves.
Yeah.
They embraced collaboration and created an ecosystem where other companies and developers could thrive.
And this approach really paid off. WeChat quickly became an indispensable part of daily life.
It did.
For hundreds of millions of people in China.
It's really remarkable.
It's a testament to their long-term vision.
Yeah.
Another one of the 7 tenets.
Absolutely.
They weren't just thinking about the immediate future.
Right.
They were building something that could evolve and adapt to the changing needs of their users.
Thinking ahead.
So we've got this incredible mobile gaming business, a social media giant in WeChat, and they're constantly innovating. But they didn't stop there, did they?
No, they didn't.
They were also starting to make significant moves into other areas like online payments.
Yes, their entry into online payments is a great example of how they connected different aspects of their users' digital lives.
Okay.
They already had this massive user base on WeChat, and they saw an opportunity to make payments easier and more convenient.
And this is where WeChat Pay and QQ Wallet come in?
Right.
They quickly gained traction,
They did.
becoming major players in the Chinese digital payments market.
It's fascinating how they managed to transform the way people pay for things in China. They
Yeah.
made digital payments accessible to everyone, not just those with bank accounts.
Right.
This had a huge impact on the Chinese economy, accelerating the adoption of digital payments and moving the country towards a cashless society.
And it's another example of how they leveraged their existing strengths to create entirely new opportunities. But even as they were achieving all of this success,
Right.
they didn't lose sight of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
They were already looking ahead to the next wave of technological innovation or artificial intelligence.
AI. Yes, AI was rapidly becoming a key area of focus
Okay.
for tech companies around the world, and Tencent, true to their continuous innovation tenet, was determined to be a leader in this field.
What were some of the initial steps they took to establish themselves in the AI space?
Well, they started by establishing dedicated AI research labs
Okay.
and investing heavily in attracting top talent. They recognized that AI was a complex field that required deep expertise.
Makes sense.
They also started exploring how AI could be applied to their existing businesses, like gaming.
Oh, interesting.
So they weren't just interested in the theoretical aspects of AI.
Yeah.
They were looking for practical applications that could benefit their users.
How so?
Well, for example, they used AI to improve game design,
Huh?
create more realistic and engaging gameplay, and even develop AI-powered opponents.
Oh, wow.
And they saw the potential for AI to extend far beyond gaming into areas like healthcare, finance, and even self-driving cars.
Wow. That's a lot of ground to cover.
It is.
We've gone from mobile gaming to social media to online payments and now AI.
Yeah.
It seems like they had a hand in almost every major technological trend of the 2010s.
They were everywhere.
And they were just getting started.
Yeah.
As we move into the later part of this book's timeline, we'll see how Tencent continued to push the boundaries of innovation and expand its reach into new and exciting areas.
Exciting times.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive into Tencent's evolution.
Yeah.
We've seen how they embraced the mobile internet, created a social media behemoth, with WeChat revolutionize online payments,
Right.
and even dipped their toes into the world of AI.
Yeah.
What I find really impressive is that they managed to achieve all of this while staying true to Ma Huateng's 7 tenets,
Yeah.
which we've been discussing throughout this whole deep dive.
Those tenets really do seem to be the guiding principles behind their success.
Uh-huh.
As we move into the later part of this book's timeline,
Right.
we see Tencent continuing to push boundaries,
Yeah.
especially in areas like cloud computing.
Cloud computing was becoming essential infrastructure for the digital world.
Yeah.
What was Tencent's approach to this emerging field?
They recognized that the future of computing was in the cloud,
Okay.
and they invested heavily in building a robust cloud infrastructure.
Okay.
What's interesting is that they didn't just focus on serving their own needs.
Right.
They saw an opportunity to become a cloud provider for other businesses.
So they weren't just building a cloud for themselves, they were building a platform for others to grow on.
Exactly.
That's a pretty bold move. What were some of the challenges they faced in becoming a major cloud provider?
Well, they were entering a market that was already dominated by established players
Right.
like Amazon and Microsoft,
Yeah.
and they had to convince businesses to trust them
Right.
with their data and critical operations.
That's a significant hurdle to overcome. How did they manage to gain a foothold in such a competitive landscape?
Well, they leveraged their deep understanding of the Chinese market
Okay.
and their expertise in building scalable, reliable platforms.
Mm-hmm.
They also offered competitive pricing
Okay.
and tailored their services to meet the specific needs of Chinese businesses.
So they used their local knowledge and technical expertise to differentiate themselves.
Right.
Makes a lot of sense. But cloud computing wasn't the only area where they were pushing boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
They also made some surprising moves into areas like self-driving cars.
Yeah, that's a great example of their willingness to explore new frontiers.
Yeah.
Self-driving cars represent a convergence of many different technologies,
Right.
including AI sensors and cloud computing.
It seems like a natural extension of their existing strengths.
It does.
But it's still a pretty big leap.
Yeah.
What was their motivation for getting involved in self-driving cars?
The book suggests that they saw self-driving cars as a transformative technology
Okay.
with the potential to revolutionize transportation and improve safety.
Uh-huh.
They were also keen to be at the forefront of this emerging industry.
And this aligns with their tenet of long-term vision,
Right.
thinking about the future and investing in technologies that could have a major impact on society.
That's right.
Did they manage to make any significant progress in this area?
They certainly did.
Okay.
They established a dedicated research and development team,
Okay.
recruited top talent from around the world, and began testing their technology on public roads in China.
That's a pretty serious commitment. What were some of the key challenges they faced in developing self-driving car technology?
Well, one of the biggest challenges was navigating the complex regulatory landscape.
Yeah.
Self-driving cars raise a lot of legal and ethical questions,
Right.
and governments around the world are still figuring out how to regulate them.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the broader societal implications.
Exactly, and Tencent had to be mindful of these considerations as they developed their self-driving car program.
By 2016, the end of this book's timeline, Tencent had become a sprawling tech giant with a diverse portfolio of businesses and a global reach.
It's really incredible what they accomplished.
Their journey is a testament to the power of vision, adaptability, and a relentless focus on innovation. They started as a small messaging company and evolved into a powerhouse that's shaping the future of the internet.
It's an inspiring story.
It is. As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with a sense of awe at what they've accomplished in just a couple of decades. They've touched the lives of billions of people around the world.
And what's remarkable is that they did it all while staying true to those 7 tenets.
Right.
It shows that success in the tech world isn't just about brilliant ideas, it's about having the right principles to guide you.
This deep dive has given us a glimpse into how Tencent navigated the complexities of the tech industry,
It has.
particularly in the context of China's rapidly evolving digital landscape.
It's a unique story.
It is, and it's a story that offers valuable lessons for anyone interested in entrepreneurship, innovation, and the transformative power of technology.
Absolutely.
So for you, our listener, what stood out the most? What will you take away from this exploration of Tencent's rise? Maybe it's the importance of user focus, a long-term vision, or perhaps the courage to continuously innovate and adapt, whatever your takeaway. We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and left you with some food for thought. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.